Hey, what it do, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Just having a great day. So we're gonna be living in the shop today. We got a project that we got to do, kind of a rush order type deal. I have to build 4 separate, I don't want to say like air distribution, be more like air collection type boxes for these massive blowers. And I'm sure some of you guys saw the video of us actually using the cranes that I made to go ahead and unload this thing. It was actually totally unnecessary. We were just trying to prove a point. I do have the 299 set up right there to go ahead and move it, which I'm going to do that as opposed to going through all of that again. But I'm going to pick this thing up, slide it back a little bit so we can get my fabrication table in here so we can start cutting up metal, building up these frames. A lot of fabricating. We're going to be making a couple trips down to Mike's Metal Works to have them cut some stuff out for us. Super awesome guys. I don't know what else is going to be in the video, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's go and jump on into it and let's roll. Alright, so we finally have everything all hooked up. Got all the phone calls made that I need to put this thing on.
Strong like a tree. There's no
fabricating metal boxes is really not all that interesting. There's not a whole lot to go ahead and dig into this thing a little bit. You guys can see how we have this little collar right here. There is a sleeve that you have to pull down. And once you pull that down,
they sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the
So originally I was going to be using this metal for the squeeze for my longhorns, but I got really busy, had a lot of stuff going on, and I haven't had any time to make it. And this is kind of like an emergency rush deal. So we are going to be repurposing this metal for the time being. And I'll either have to buy more metal to build the squeeze for the longhorns, or if my life continues as it is, I'll probably just end up having to buy one. So we're gonna go ahead and get this cut open, and we'll start pulling some of the metal up here onto the workbench and see what we can make out of this stuff. It always takes a minute to get back in the groove of things. Apparently I'm out of gas. Luckily I have a tank to switch it out with. Come on. I should probably make sure that's closed. I will have to make a trip into town to get these things refilled because both of them are empty. Oh, that's never a good thing to do. Eesh. Sorry, gauges. Stay put. All right, so we finally have everything all hooked up. Got all the phone calls made that I need to get made. Let's go ahead and put this thing on. Hopefully it turns on. Come on, girl, let's go. It's a little bit high on the input voltage. Maybe one of these days, SD Genie will get their act together. Let's see, I think we're good on the pressure. We got a decent amount of wire. Maybe enough to build everything. We'll go ahead and get that closed. Go ahead and purge the system a little bit. Okay. So before we get started, I'm gonna go ahead and do a shameless little plug. I'm not sponsored by these guys. I'm not really sponsored by anyone, but I can speak very highly of this stuff right here. The black Stallion leathers and the gloves, I absolutely love them. Now, obviously I don't fabricate day in and day out, but I have nothing but good things to say about these. I have used them quite a bit, and they still seem to be holding up pretty good. Every other single leather glove that I've ever bought, the left hand especially, tends to wear out very, very fast. And these ones are still holding strong. I'm not gonna speak ill of Miller because obviously I love Miller stuff. Their hood, I think, is unmatched by anyone. But their gloves, they come up just a little bit shy in comparison to these guys. So if you guys are looking for high quality, good leather stuff, Black Stallion makes awesome stuff. So I don't even know if Amazon carries this stuff, but if they do, I'll put a link down below because if you guys do buy stuff off that, very minutely it helps the channel. Like I said, shameless plug. Anyways, I like to do my 90s like this. I like to keep the outside corner intact, then we just bend them over. It does involve a couple clamps to make it really nice though. So basically you want to clamp on this side right here, this side right here. We're going to bring it out to this outer edge right here, get it nice and straight, and then we're going to square this up right here. We're going to get it nice and square, and we'll put a clamp on it on this edge too. Basically lock everything in place so that way as you weld it, it's going to be perfectly flat this way, it'll be perfectly square this way. It's not going to allow it to twist, and it's just going to have like the best possible outcome that I'm able to do. There may be someone that can do a better job, which actually I'm positive there's someone that's going to be able to do a better job, but for me, this is how I like to do 90s with thinner wall square tubing. So I'm going to go ahead and set the camera up on a time lapse, and you guys will see how I do it and the end result when we're done. All right, so we went ahead and got this top side welded. You guys can see that I went ahead and ground it smooth. And then we have this weld right here. Now they actually do sell a flapper wheel that's pretty cool for like cleaning out the insides of corners like this. Nobody's ever gonna see this. This is all getting covered up. The only reason that I went ahead and ground that smooth right there is because it's actually going to be getting a metal plate on the top of it. Otherwise, I probably would have just left the bead there. But that is how I prefer to do my right angles, because now this really isn't gonna go anywhere. We can take these clamps off once it's cooled down a little bit. We'll flip it over, and then we can actually do the flip side. So if you do them with two separate pieces, it's still possible. It just makes this outer side right here not as great, in my opinion. This is how I like to do it. So we're gonna go ahead and let it cool down a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and start to mark out where I'm gonna notch on this side so we can bend it up, because we are going to be making a complete rectangle. I really hope I measured correctly and that I didn't screw up, which is entirely possible. We may end up having just a big U right here, and I have to cut another piece and stick it on top. So I may have to do some outside corners anyways, but I think I did my math correctly. So let's let that cool down. I'll get this marked out. We'll get it flipped over, and then I'll show you guys the final result once we're done. All right, so chances are slim, but if I mathed correctly, when I cut this little wedge out right here and bend this over, this angle should line up with that one right there. It's gotta be close. I think it might be a little bit long and may need just a little bit of trimming, which is not the end of the world. But once we do bend this over, you guys will see why I prefer to do the corners like that as opposed to just having 4 individual pieces where you have to weld this outer edge. So you guys may have picked up in that time lapse that I did not math right, and I actually ended up having to shorten it up. and I ended up shortening it up just a little too much. Not like it was really, really bad. I just had a little bit of a gap to fill right there. Still turned out pretty good, but you guys can see that we had to weld this seam right here, which, like I said, it's not the end of the world. It's not a huge issue to do that on the other corners. If I had a big bandsaw and I could cut all of these pieces like simultaneously, just real fast, just whip them out, I probably would do it individually. But since I do most of my stuff with a chop saw and a cutoff wheel, this is how I prefer to do it. We have one frame pretty much completely welded up, except for the bottom side on this guy. So I'm gonna go ahead and grind these smooth real quick. Then I'll probably call it a day. I got a couple things I gotta get squared away tonight. And then I'm actually headed to Arizona for the weekend. I'm gonna go visit my family out there. So pretty excited for that. But let me go ahead and get this finished up. All right, so in a nutshell, that's roughly where it's gonna go. And then on Monday, when I get this piece cut out with all the holes lined up, basically this is gonna bolt to that. Then we'll have this exact same frame pretty much sitting out here flush with this frame right here to where it'll be able to rest down in there. And that's gonna be the game plan, more or less. We will have some vertical pieces that come off of this to basically connect that back frame to this front frame. It's a pretty simple contraption, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up because I gotta get ready to go tomorrow, so I will see you guys Monday. All right, so fabricating metal boxes is really not all that interesting. There's not a whole lot that goes into it. You guys can see I got 3 of them right there. We got one up on the workbench. You guys can see it has some of the metal sheeting on it. Huge thanks to the guys over at Mike's Metalworks. Jake just knocked it out of the park with these things. They look super awesome, super professional. And from here, it's gonna be pretty quick and easy to put these things together. You guys can see we got the one on the back side just kind of clamped in place right now. But we do have this one with 4 bolts in the corners. So when I was designing this thing, I was trying to figure out if this was something that I was gonna weld all the way around, do like a through nut and bolt all the way. Then I decided to go ahead and buy the Nutsert tool. This one's made by Beetow. It's off of Amazon, kind of a funny name. So this is one of those tools that I have wanted for a long time. I could just never bring myself to buy it. Not that it's like crazy expensive. I think this was like a $90 kit, but I wish I'd have done it forever ago. Putting these 4 bolts in there was super easy, and it's just one of those things that's like next level professional. So we're gonna go ahead and show you guys how I did this. This metal plate will have to come back off when I go to actually put the piece in there because I want the hole on this metal plate to be actually a little bit smaller than the hole that you need to drill for the Nutsert to go into. But it's just an awesome, awesome tool. So let's go ahead and get started. I did pick up a couple new drill bits. So without getting too technical, because it's really not that complicated. Basically, you just have to mark out where you want your holes on this one. You're gonna drill a 5/16 hole all the way through it. You're gonna take this plate off, and then you'll go ahead and drill a 7/16 hole, which is what this Nutsert piece will fit into. And then I'll show you guys how it mounts onto this thing, and it's rad. So let me go ahead and get these holes drilled, and then we'll show you guys actually using the tool. All right, so now that we have all the holes drilled, I went ahead and kind of put the ones on this side in the corner. You guys can see these bolts already in there. Then we have one in the center here. And then I didn't think we would really need one there, so we went ahead and just kind of split this one into thirds. We got one there and one there, one there and one there. They're all pretty uniform, and that's gonna be more than sufficient to actually hold and mount this thing to the blower back there. But let's go ahead and dig into this thing a little bit. You guys can see how we have this little collar right here. Then we actually do have, I don't know what these would be called, dies. So according to the book, this is called the mandrel. I don't know. It's not that hard to figure out. All right, so not that this is like super complicated, but it did take me a minute to figure out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this to try and help avoid any confusion with you guys. So you have this piece right here, which has to come off. And then you have this other little piece right here, which has to come off. And then I could not for the life of me figure out how to get this out. Well, come to find out, there is a sleeve that you have to pull down. And once you pull that down, then you can go ahead and unthread this. And it's kind of hard to do at the same time. So anyways, so once that comes off, then you can go ahead and interchange to whatever size Nutsert you have. But like I said, not super complicated once you get it figured out. So it's kind of neat because it does lock into place once that comes back up. Then you just have to put this collar or whatever you want to call it back on there. Tighten it down. And then this is the last piece that has to go on there. And they do have a wrench where you can like super snug this down. I don't think you really need it. But I do like that each box comes with a labeled, like this one's 1/4 Makes it nice, organized, and easy to figure out which one you're gonna need to put on here. This drill is on its last leg. It's struggling a little bit. So right now I have a step bit on there. I did pick up the right size bit, but for video's sake, we're just gonna go ahead and use this real quick. Okay. All right, you guys ready to see how easy this is? Now, I know there's like a little gauge right here that does something. I don't know exactly what that is, but basically you're gonna wanna put the flange side down. It just threads on there. Okay, you wanna make sure these handles are all the way up. I think. Yeah. So you just want to make sure these handles are all the way up, and then I just twist it till it stops. You stick it in there, give it a little snug. So once I've given it that initial twist, I don't know if you're supposed to do this, but I'll just snug it down a little bit more, and then I'll go till it's kind of hard, and then I just stop. Then you unthread this. And there it is, beautiful. Super easy. That's all it took to install that thing right there. You guys can see we have our bolts right here. And now we have a threaded insert on this frame. So pretty rad. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of them in, and then we'll get this panel on, and then we basically just have to rinse and repeat on the other sides on that box, the other sides on this box. Then I gotta take them all apart again and get them painted. But I'm just gonna set the camera up on a time lapse so you guys can see how quick and easy this is. And it's just great. Love these things.
We went for each other like a bullet from a gun. Faster than the sheriff's drawing, hotter than the sun. Didn't see it coming lately, I've been on the run.
All right, there it is. We have the first panel fully installed. Feels good and snug. I like it. Now we're just gonna rinse and repeat on the rest of it. And I gotta crank through all these things. They all have to be painted by today because I have to deliver them tomorrow morning. So it's time for some more time lapse.
Know you've seen my face before, so let me tell you something. Darling, you fell in love with the famous man. See my pictures posted everywhere across the land. And if you run with me, you got to understand that you're holding on to a dangerous hand. If I want it, would you still want me? 'Cause babe, I want it. Do you still want me? I got a bag of money, honey, and it don't belong to me. Took it from a man that had it coming, so you know it wasn't free. We'll load this Smith and Wesson up and take our horses east. And if we run into any trouble, we'll leave them in the crimson streets. Darling, you fell in love with the famous man. See my pictures posted everywhere across the land. And if you run with me, you got to understand that you're holding on to a dangerous hand. If I want it, would you still want me? 'Cause babe, I want it.
All right, well, we have one box fully assembled. Well, almost. There's actually gonna be a couple like flanges that get bolted onto that outside piece, but that's what it looks like. The Nutsert tool is awesome. These boxes just turned out great. But now it's just time to rinse and repeat. I gotta do it to 3 more boxes real quick. Hopefully it only takes me about an hour each one because the painting's gonna be pretty quick, and I think I actually have someone coming out here to help me do that. So I'm gonna try and get 2 knocked out 100% because I actually wanna come grab 2 of them. And then I'm gonna work into the night to get those two finished. So I'm gonna put the camera down and get to work. And then once I get this one finished, we're actually gonna go ahead and mock it up onto that blower, because this one's actually slightly different than the rest of them are gonna be, because you can see how it has 2 holes on this side and the 4 holes on that side. These other 3 units are gonna have 6 holes on the side right here, and all the ducts are just gonna be coming off the front. So this one just has a slightly different style blower than the other 3. And it was just something that got thrown into the mix just to make the job just that much more difficult. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get these cranked out, and then I'll see you guys when we start mounting it onto that thing. All right, well, we are just about done. This thing is pretty much 100% complete. The paint job is not stellar. Don't look at it too hard. We got a couple runs in the paint, but you guys can see we went ahead and put the intake flanges on there. It's looking awesome. And then if you come around back here, all of the holes lined up perfectly where this cabinet actually bolts to that blower motor. And then the one thing that we did add that you guys didn't see before was I went ahead and put a grate over the inlet right there. And that way, if something crazy somehow makes its way into the system, it's gonna prohibit it from entering. Now, if it's like really, really small to be able to pass through, but it's gonna be hard to like get your hand past there, or so I don't know, just kind of playing it safe. Behind this cabinet, it says do not operate without guard in place. Now, whether that means this or that little piece of grating back there, I don't know. But overall, I'm super pleased with how these things turned out. The Nutsert tool, rad. Absolutely love that thing, game changer. I'm gonna be able to make a lot more cool stuff with that thing. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up because I have to finish these 2 boxes. Initially, they were coming out here to pick up this whole unit, but due to one reason or another, they are not here anymore, and I have to deliver everything tomorrow at once. So I may be having a late night in the shop tonight, but regardless, thank you guys for watching. If you could do me a huge solid, like, subscribe, share this with amigos, hit that notification button down below so you guys can continue to see progress on the ranch or whatever project I happen to be working on. And if you guys are interested in one of those Nutsert tools, I will drop a link down below so you guys can check them out. They are rad. But thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Later.